All right, joining us now. She's the leading hitter on this Oklahoma Sooners team, one of the best offenses in the country, as they're ranked number one in the country. They'll be wrapping up regular season play in the SEC. She was, of course, the national champion last year, was on the World Series all-tournament team. I speak of Kasidi Pickering, joining us here on In the Circle on D1 Softball, powered by 643. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. You're coming off the sweep against Texas. Even though this is only your second year, you've played in a lot of these games already between OU and Texas. What's it like to be a part of that rivalry, like OU Texas? It's just a great atmosphere at Love's Field this past weekend.
I would say the fans made it a lot bigger than what it was. It was a huge environment to play in. But playing Texas, like they're always just going to give us their best, so it's been fun to play against them multiple times.
What was the difference you thought in that? When you two teams play, it seems like there's always a lot of emotions, a lot of swings in the game. Like they have momentum, you have momentum, back and forth. What is it like to be a part of games like that?
I think our pitching staff did a great job of keeping them quiet and doing that and being able to allow us to score first. And this was like a first weekend we actually executed like scoring first and just applying the pressure every inning.
Let's talk about this season. What has it been like playing in the SEC in the first year? It was a lot of hoopla before the year. Now you've been in it. What's it been like?
It's been very challenging. I think the environments we go into are a lot bigger than what the Big 12 was, and just knowing that every weekend each team's going to give us their best. So every weekend's a dogfight.
Now you're a sophomore year this year. Last year you were the freshman. You were the youngster with all these veterans. This year you're kind of, and I remember talking to Coach Gasso before the year. In a lot of ways, you and Ella are kind of the veterans with a lot of new faces. What has that been like to have that role now of being ones that are showing the freshmen how things are being done?
I think last year, me and Ella were just like trying to take in everything the seniors said to us. So now, like, we can return those senior voices into the freshmen, how they did to us. So just being able to be a leader, but also know like these freshmen need a voice to look up to.
Who took you under your wing last year?
I'd say Jada. I looked up to Jada a bunch.
Jada Coleman. How are you different today than you were a year ago at this time from freshman year? Because I'm sure you learned things that you've applied to this year. How are you different?
I think knowing last year, like everything was moving so fast, like you were always trying to keep up with what was going on. And now this year, knowing that like I can be more, like pay more attention to things and also take the game in more seriously. Like I do this because other teams now have film on me and I can be able to watch more videos and stuff.
What has it been like as far as we mentioned this freshman class? Kind of describe this freshman class that's come in here because like it's been unbelievable to see them play and put up the numbers that some of them have. Like for example, the Gabby Garcias of the world. What is it? Describe this freshman class.
They're very eager to learn, very coachable. I think coming in, they knew they weren't trying to replace the seniors, but just knowing that like there's roles to fill. And like if I give my best every day, I can be able to play on the field with all of us. And knowing that like they come in, day out, and grind every day, knowing to try to make a spot in the lineup.
Let's mention a little bit more. Talk about Gabby as well as Nelly Marinas. Talk about each two. What makes them both such great players?
I think Nelly got a lot of experience last year of just listening to the seniors like me and Ella did, and knowing that she wasn't playing, but she was in those environments and knew what needed to be get done in those tight games. But Gabby has grown so much, and you can see her like attitude on the field. She becomes a lot more stronger, and her character can like step out more than in the beginning of the year.
Of course, you and Ella Parker always are synonymous. You came together. What's it been like playing with Ella and how you two complement each other?
She's great. I love her. We've built a really good friendship off the field, and just knowing that we were in the grind together last year, so we're easy to have conversations with each other about the game, and we can answer a lot of questions. Just knowing that we can bounce off each other, and like one person doesn't have to carry the weight of the other person.
Do you remember when you both first met?
We grew up in travel ball playing against each other a lot, so
Okay,
we've always been like running past. I don't remember the exact time.
that's pretty good. No, hey, listen, that's always fascinating how those journeys go there. Let's talk about your swing. I think you have one of the best swings in the sport, one of the most beautiful to watch. Describe your mechanics when it comes to your swing.
I think coming into college, I just had like a really open mind, knowing JT is really good at what he does, and anything he had to say, I was open to listening to it and being able to bounce ideas off of each other. Like if he tells me to do something he doesn't feel comfortable, I have the ability to go up to him and be like, "Hey, I don't like how this feels. Can we try something else?" So just knowing that like your swing isn't going to be the same every single day, and just being able to adjust to it.
Yeah, JT Gasso is one of the best hitting coaches there. It's pretty amazing. It sounds like he's very much about open dialogue, communication, and and adapting, willing to adapt. Is that accurate?
Yeah, very accurate.
What's it been like to play for Patty Gasso?
She is a great coach, but I think she we have so much success because she cares about us as people. And like you can be a great coach, but as long as your players like respect you for the person you are and like you have that respect as people, not just as athletes, is what makes her stand out above others.
What drew you when you were getting recruited? What was it about Oklahoma that stood out right away to you? They're like, hey, I need to be a Sooner.
I actually love the campus. When I stepped on campus, like the brick buildings, everything was the same. I really fell in love with all the flowers and everything about the campus.
And I'm sure at the time they were telling you about this new stadium that they're building called Love's Field, right? And now you've gotten to play in it. What's it like playing in Love's Field now that you've got a chance to play? It started last year and now into this year.
I think Love's Field has just been so great for the sport. Like we'll play football games and it won't be filled to capacity, but like we'll still have a few thousand people there. So it's so cool just to see people actually want to come and watch us every day, rain or shine. Like last weekend, the weather wasn't best, but they still sold it out. But I would say getting to experience Marita was so cool. Just being able to know like all the greats played here, and like every time I step on the field, I remember the Clemson game. I watched them play in that field.
That's right, that super regional classic there. That's right, you got to play in both fields. How would you compare the two fields?
I think Marita just has such like this energy when you step onto it. Like the grind was built here, and then going into Loves, like this is what all the past Sooners like paved the way for you to play in. So it's just an honorable feeling to play in both stadiums.
What got you to growing up to play softball? What interested you into playing softball growing up?
I have an older sister who played, and so I was always we're 7 years apart. So when she was going through it, I was at the ballpark playing in the sand and just always at the ballpark is what I remembered.
Was she like one of your favorite athletes? Who are some athletes you looked up to?
Um, I grew up watching a lot of the Florida girls like Alicia Casio, Reagan Rogers. Yeah, a lot of those were my favorites. My sister actually played with Nicole Mendez, so I grew up watching her and loving her too.
Florida player. So you're going to see some of them probably this weekend when you're in Gainesville. There, that's going to be kind of a full circle moment for you to see some of the players like Ocasio was a great player there. You mentioned Hannah Rogers and company there. That's pretty wild that you kind of covered them there a little bit. When was a turning point? Was there a moment last year where you like, hey, I do belong here. I could succeed at this level? Because there's always an adjustment period coming in as a freshman. When was that moment where you were like, hey, I could fit in?
Um, I don't remember exactly when this was happening, but I was struggling some point in the year. And I remember talking to like Jada or some of the seniors, and they're like, "You've been doing great. Like, what are you talking about?" And I was like, "I don't think I've gotten on base in a few weekends." So just knowing that like they just see me as equal and knowing that like I don't have to perform every single day to earn their respect was when I was like, okay, I can just play my game and be fine.
I think you played your game and then some there. In fact, I remember Coach Gasso even talked about how you and Ella at times carried the veterans, especially in the postseason. What clicked for you all in that postseason, especially for you? You made World Series tournament team. You had big hits after big hits. You and Ella. I remember Ella winning the Big 12 tournament outstanding player. What was it for both of you that took it to a different level then?
I think we just didn't have as much stress as the seniors. Like they were pushing for four, we had to get four. But for us, like I just remember every day moving so fast that we were just caught up in like softball. So we were just going out there playing stress free and just I was playing for the seniors, so everything I did was for them to get that fourth.
You did that. What was that moment like to reach that pinnacle of playing in Oklahoma City, playing at the World Series, and winning that national title?
I just remember like feeling accomplished. Like my as a little kid playing softball, like you always dreamed of playing at the Hall of Fame and winning a national championship. So just doing that was so surreal. Like I laid on the ground with the trophy. I was like, I finally made it.
Now what is the advice you give the new faces on this team about that experience? Because obviously you want to get back. What's the advice you've given them?
I think just to know that like you can't change the past. So if you make an error, like you have to flush it immediately. Like nothing you do in the past is going to determine what happens next game. So just knowing that like take everything pitch by pitch and don't fixate on the future or fixate on the past.
What's it been like playing behind Sam Landry, who has certainly had a big year for you all? What's it been like having her?
Uh, I actually played with her growing up in travel ball.
Oh,
So just being able to have this senior year with her one last time just makes it so much better because I've seen her grind to get to her college and then just being able to finish her college career at OU has been so much better.
I didn't realize you two knew each other that far back in travel ball. How many of the players did you know going in?
Um, Going in for my travel ball team, Nicole was the only person from our organization, but a lot of people from our organization went to big D1 schools. So we always play against people, old teammates.
What makes Sam Landry so good?
I think her poise on the field, you can't tell if she's having a bad day or a good day. She keeps her demeanor very calm, and she's going to give her best day in and day out for us.
Do you lead by example? Is that your style? How would you describe the leadership on the team?
I would try to say I try to be the example that they can lead on.
Who is the one that could has the humor to kind of lighten up the mood if it needed it? If somebody needed to crack a joke just to lighten things up, who's the go-to on the team?
I think we have a lot of people who can do that. It's just being able to bounce energy off each other. Like if you need 20% of my energy, I can give that to you. I don't think we don't put the pressure on one person to be the light of the team.
Tell me about Abigail, what she brings to the table in the outfield there, leading there.
I would say she does have energy, but she knows she can bounce off of us, and she's just that big voice. Like if you have a question, you can always go to her. She'll always give you feedback. Hey, let's try this, or I did this because I saw something else on the field. She just always has a good voice. And she has that World Series experience too that you can bounce off.
Defensively, you play in the outfield. They've kind of moved you from time to time. What's it like defensively playing on the corner outfielders?
Um, Last year playing with Boone and Jada, it was just being able just to play with them. Like I can be here. I'm here because I can get in the lineup, but I'm also here just to be a defender. And then coming into this year, I think just bouncing off. If Hannah's here, I go to right, or if Abby's here, like I can work together with them at practice so we can feel comfortable together if I'm in left or if I'm in right.
There were so many questions going into the season, but it feels like you all are like kind of getting that chemistry and kind of starting to, figure out who you are and peaking at the right time. Do you sense that from the young players and you as a group overall?
Yeah, I think one of the things we talk about is you don't want to get too hot too early. So we just really focus on building that team chemistry and like you'll peak when it's the right time. So as long as we have that team chemistry, the whatever happens on the field will happen.
Which of the new faces got you to say, wow, this is going to be awesome to have her here that, maybe you didn't know going in until you saw them in fall practice or something like that?
I think a lot of the freshmen did that for me at practice. We're hitting live and they're hitting home runs off everyone. It's just cool to see their progress in the weight room, like transfer onto the field. And knowing like Abby, Ilana, Bella, all these transfers that came in, filled in these roles and did a great job, even pitching. Like they came in, we hit live, and it's a battle day in and day out off them. I finally got my first hit off Audrey a few weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, there's some pride there. There's some pride there, right? Little like, see, I got one on you there finally. What's your goals outside of softball?
I think just to build my character, just come in and be a good person and just knowing that like softball isn't what defines me. So if I can come outside of softball and make these good connections, I'll just live a good life.
Good life. That's a good monitor there. Obviously, everybody knows when you're playing games, there's games being broadcasted on the radio by one Chris Plank, who's one of the best in the sport. What's it like to have somebody like him covering and kind of documenting everything you and the team is doing?
I think he does a great job of our sport and just knowing that like he's the voice of us athletes, knowing he's here breaking glass ceilings for OU softball just as much as we are playing it. And his voice is very respected among the softball community.
I could sense that. Yes, that is absolutely 100% correct on that with him and the great job he does there. Is pro softball something the goal? Is that a goal? Is Olympics a goal, or is that like too far right now?
I think I always dreamed of being on Team USA as a little kid, but I still got 2 more years of college. So I'm looking forward to playing softball after this, but I really want to focus on where I am at my senior year. We'll decide if I want to play or not.
Let's talk about down that moving forward here. What are some things you feel like as a team you could still improve on to as the season now gets to the finish line here and you hope to accomplish your eternal goals?
I think as an offense, we just need to keep making in-game adjustments. If we can keep doing that, we'll attack their pitchers, and the more pitchers we see in a game, the better off.
The more they are, and that's going to be. Are you? How is that? What is that like? Because you're right. You're dealing with a lot of times a lot of different pitchers by committee. They're thrown against you. What is that like as a hitter to see so many different pitchers?
I think we do practice this in film as like if they bring in someone new, we have a game plan for them as well. So it's just like sticking to the game plan that we create in practice and knowing that like you have the talent to exceed off each pitcher they bring in.
Well, that's good to hear. There, that's good knowledge. I think many people always wondered about that, facing all these different pitchers that we see now in the sport of softball. There, to say the least. Kasidi Pickering joining us here at In the Circle at D1 Softball, powered by 643. Hey, listen, thanks for doing this. Thanks for taking the time. I know it's a busy week and a busy time, but appreciate you coming on and continue the great success. Good luck the rest of the way, and thanks for coming on here on In the Circle at D1 Softball.
Thank you.